When your whole entire world revolves around what do I want to do? What does my spouse want to do? What does my mom want to do? What does my daughter want to do? And there is no limitations on time, location, or money. That is the ultimate currency. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Diamond Life podcast. I'm so excited for this episode because my family and I just got back from Maui. We were there for a couple of weeks at the Montage, which is one of the nicest properties on the whole island. And there was a few significant moments where everything that I worked so hard for at the beginning of my journey, the dream that I had in my mind, the vision of what could be possible, manifested in real time while we were there in Maui. And I want to share with you not just how it felt for me, but how you can anchor into this feeling for yourself as well if you're just getting started in your business, if you are thinking about starting possibly an online business, a freedom-focused business, what we like to call the freedom trifecta, where you have location freedom, you have time freedom, and you also have financial freedom that continues to grow exponentially higher and higher and higher over time. And the thing is that once you live this way for a period of time, it's sometimes harder to relate to how it once used to be. Like, I will never forget how much harder life was when I had to do a lot of things that I didn't feel like doing. For example, sort of like the schedule of a regular type of job. And in some cases, I just didn't want to go. You know what I mean? Like, I was tired, I was exhausted. I would rather go to the beach because it was like a beautiful day, or just kind of hang out, or, whatever the reason was. There were so many times where I just didn't want to, but I had to because if I wasn't committed, if I didn't show up, I would get fired or whatever. And I think that now in society, people try to do the whole like call in sick, right? That's like their strategy. It's like, let me just call in sick to live life as if, like, to live your life like you're supposed to be able to, but you have to call in sick to get that freedom. It's like really messed up if you actually think about that. Like, doesn't it make more sense to be able to call your boss, and instead of calling in sick, which they know you're most likely lying in the first place, just be like, listen, I want to take the day off. I want to spend it with my daughter. I want to take her to the beach. I want to go get an ice cream cone. I want to spend some quality time together. I'm not coming in today. I'll be in tomorrow. I'll be in on Monday. Wouldn't that make more sense? But people don't feel comfortable with that because it's like politically incorrect and you're not a good employee and all this kind of thing. And I feel like that robs us of our own independence. Like, it robs us of who we truly are and who we should be as individual human beings, as sovereign beings. So society has accepted this. And you and I listening right now, we know this is bullshit. We know this isn't fair. We know this isn't how it should be. There is a better alternative. But the thing about that is, in order to have that type of life, there's a tremendous amount of sacrifice and hard work required to set yourself free. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you were locked away in a penitentiary, okay, like a maximum security prison. You were in your little jail cell, and everybody who was sentenced in that prison was okay with it. They're just like, I got 20 years, I got 40 years, I got life in prison, right? They just kind of accepted it. All right, I made a mistake, here I am. I'm just going to spend the rest of my life here. But there's like a small percentage of inmates in prison who refuse to settle. They refuse to give up. They refuse to be like, this is just my fate to rot away in this prison cell. And so they start to scheme and plan, right? Late at night, they're like, how can I escape? How can I escape this prison cell? And you've seen it in the movies and the documentaries, like certain people like El Chapo, right? You might have heard the story of El Chapo. He escaped prison like multiple times, which is like really crazy. But he had that relentless mindset. And I'm not talking about El Chapo specifically because he's a criminal. He's a bad person, right? I'm not advocating for who he is and what he's done. I'm just saying the mentality, the analogy that I'm using is like the relentlessness to escape the prison cell, right? So imagine you had to dig a tunnel in your prison cell, how long that would take. Every single day, you'd just be able to chip away at it a little bit, dig a little bit, dig a little bit, and then try to cover it up and sort of hide it, right? So you wouldn't get caught. And then the next day, you're continuing to build this tunnel, build this tunnel. It could take you months. It could take you even longer than that until ultimately the day comes where everything is prepared. You've earned it. You've prepared for it. And then you get to escape. And that analogy is obviously a pretty hardcore comparison to a lot of people's lives that they've settled into. It's a form of an invisible prison cell, right? There's not bars figuratively or literally, but there is bars figuratively because you can't actually do what you truly want to do. And I think that that is a form of being in prison. Does that make sense? And so what happens for a lot of people is they experience and feel that frustration of being so-called stuck in prison, but they're not willing to dig the tunnel. They're not willing to put in the work. They're not willing to play this game of, okay, it's going to take me months or possibly years to build my tunnel to escape this life, to escape this prison cell. And, to give you some more context with my situation, I was finding myself in this prison myself back when I first started my business because I had the golden handcuffs. And a lot of people have the golden handcuffs. And the longer you're in these handcuffs and in this prison cell, the harder it could be to plan your escape because it's easier to just say, you know what, it is what it is. And, there's the other example of people saying like, you're on the hamster wheel, right? The 9 to 5 grind, the repetitiveness of your schedule, Monday to Friday, weekends off, holidays, long weekends, etc. And then you get upgraded or promoted in your job, and maybe you get a new car or a nicer house or some additional benefits. And so it's like, oh, this is great, right? The golden handcuffs, this is great. But it's just a shinier, newer, fancier hamster wheel. It's like the pimped out hamster wheel, but you're still the hamster running on the wheel. So it doesn't really matter how nice the hamster wheel is in the big grand scheme of things. You're still having to do that. And so in my head, back when I was doing my door-to-door career, I was making really good income, like over $20,000 per month at that age. This is over 10 years ago. And I had no responsibilities, no children, no liabilities, no mortgage, no car payment, pretty much no expenses pulling in that kind of income. And when I realized that I couldn't enjoy it, when I couldn't do as I pleased, when I couldn't work a couple of days a week and take 5 days off. And in some cases, I might want to work 7 days a week because I have a big project that I'm passionate about that I want to finish. And I know that it's a temporary sprint. And in other times I want to take a month off. Just having this ability to go in different flows, different seasons of where you're at in your life with different priorities is how I feel humans are designed to live their life. We're not designed to live life in this robotic fashion. But the thing is that when we don't know that we're in this prison cell and we don't know what's on the other side, we're not willing to make the necessary changes, the necessary sacrifices and hard work for it because we don't know what the payoff is going to be. And that's why a lot of people give up when they start a home-based business, an online business, direct sales business, etc., is because they're focusing on why it's hard in the short term and they don't know what they're giving up in the long term if they stop. And for me, I had a very vivid imagination I had a vivid picture in my mind, knowing that when I did have the freedom, when I did have the finances, when I did have the location independence, etc., I was able to picture very specific moments in my imagination of what life would be like. And it was so clear and so vivid. And I was able to see the pros and cons. I was able to see the payoff of everything that I had to do and everything I had to learn and all the practice and the hard work that I had to put in, that I was willing to pay the price upfront in full to get a lifetime of benefits on the other end. And like, if you're actually in a real prison cell, right? And you went from being free in society into jail, into a penitentiary, and then free, you have contrast. You remember, okay, when I had freedom, I was able to do as I please, wake up when I want, leave my house, go to the park, whatever it was, travel, get on an airplane, go to a different country, all these things. And all of a sudden you're in this prison cell and you can't do any of that. There's a significant contrast of what you've lost. Make sense? But on the flip side, if someone's never had the true financial freedom, the true time freedom, the true location freedom, they don't have any contrast to compare it to. So their life is most likely like, this is how it's always been, right? So they're unaware of what it could be like. They've settled for good enough instead of extraordinary. And I think that what we need to do is we need to talk about this more openly, more freely, because there's this whole level of taboo around, we don't talk about money. Don't tell me how much you make. I won't tell you how much I make. We're just all supposed to pretend like we don't know how much anyone makes, except for the celebrities and the pro athletes and all these people in the, movie stars and stuff. Well, you hear about their contracts, you hear about how much money they have, and you hear about how much money they're spending on a big home or something like this. But the regular folks, right? People like you and I, we're not supposed to talk about our income. It's supposed to be this secret. And I think that's what keeps people playing small, is because the powers that be have made talking about money a bad thing, so that therefore nobody feels uncomfortable about how much they're earning or not earning. Does that make sense? But to me personally, it's inspiring to hear that someone that I may know about, maybe it's a friend of mine, maybe it's somebody that I don't know online or something, I want to know how much they earn. I want to be like, damn, okay, so how are they doing it? I want to learn. I want to humble myself. I want to be open-minded to it. And so I'm not trying to talk about money, how much I make, whatever, for the sake of bragging or the sake of rubbing it in or anything like that. But at the same time, I think it's important to have some examples, some context of like, what's possible? What could I create? What would life be like? What would life look like if I didn't give up, if I worked harder, if I worked smarter, if I was more dedicated, if I was more committed? You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, as human beings, we're always looking at the trade-off. It's like, okay, if I make this sacrifice, if I put in this hard work, if I do this and this, I will get this benefit. I will get this payoff. And those types of payoffs vary from person to person. But let's call it like in fitness, for example. It's like, okay, so if I eat clean, if I track my calories and my protein and my macros, and I train hard and I hit the gym, well, what is the benefit of doing that? Because it's not easy. It's harder, right? It's easier to eat junk. It's easier to not lift and work out. Those are all easier things, but easy doesn't equal the type of life you want. It doesn't equal the type of body and physique and sex life and confidence and feeling about yourself that you actually want. So easy isn't the goal. And a lot of people, that's their goal, is like, how can it be easier? They're afraid of it being difficult. They're afraid of it being hard. They're afraid of it being heavy, right? And some people are conditioned to constantly be trying to curate their environment for easy, easy, easy. Everything should be easy. And it's like, no, the ease of life, the ease of the benefits of something such as financial freedom actually comes from the hard work required to attain it. Just like if somebody has an outstanding physique, and they have a six-pack and they're ripped and they look great, the reason why that's something you could be proud of is because it required hard work and discipline to have that, to embody that, to live like that. It didn't come for free. It wasn't easy. Same thing goes for financial freedom and time freedom and location freedom. It's not easy to create it. But once you create it, life becomes easier. So it's like a trade-off between what do you want to have first? Do you want to have an easy life now and a much harder life later? Because either way, you're going to have both. Or do you want to put in the harder work to create this type of lifestyle for yourself, and then your life becomes easier in the future? And at some point, you have to pay the price. And most of society wants to delay the pain. They want to delay paying the price, which is how society has been conditioned to operate with financing, with leases, with mortgages, with payment plans and all the things. Is like, let me put it off into the future, right? Let me put it off into the distance. I don't want to feel the pain of making that payment right now. And for some reason, we think that it's going to hurt less later. But the reality is it hurts more, because as time goes by, you're never going to be any younger than you are right now. This is the youngest you will ever be in this moment, right? And so therefore, as life goes on, you're less energetic just by nature. You have less ability to learn and to work hard as you get older. Now, I'm not saying if you're old, you can't learn new things. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying just naturally that there is a decline that does happen eventually. So if you're trying to have an easy life right now, avoiding the difficulty of learning something new, avoiding the difficulty of putting yourself out there, of speaking your truth, of sharing your vision and your why and your story and those kinds of things because it's hard or it's uncomfortable or you don't want people to judge you or think this about you or that about you, that's fine. That's your decision. That's your choice. But I'm telling you that what you think is going to happen in the future is not what's going to happen. If you don't do it now, it's actually going to hurt more later. It's going to be harder and more painful later. And the compounding effect that we are all excited about creating in our online businesses and the potential of that, there's also a compounding effect in negative ways. If you eat poorly and you don't exercise and you don't go to the gym and all of that, there is a negative compounding effect also happening. That means that your muscles are deteriorating. It means that your health is deteriorating. Your organs are suffering. All of this stuff is happening in a compounding way as well. And so all of a sudden you get to this 10, 15, 20 years from now, and you go to the doctor for a physical exam or some kind of blood work, and they're like, hey, you got this issue. You know, you've been diagnosed with whatever. Now you're trying to reverse 20, 30 years of poor habits, of not exercising, not eating clean, of drinking too much, of eating too much sugar, whatever the case is. And so now, do you have another 30 years to course correct the past 30 years? Usually not. So therefore, once again, there's more pain that has been delayed because of your lack of focus on this thing, right? Does this make sense what I'm saying? Hopefully you understand where I'm going with this. And vice versa, when you're building for something that continues to grow exponentially, life becomes better in the future. So back to my point around Maui. So here we are. I spoke with my wife and I talked with my mom and, you know, my daughter, and we were talking about where we can go on a little bit of a holiday before the weather gets super nice and summertime begins in our most of where we spend our time throughout the year in the Vancouver, Canada area. And we decided to go to Maui. So as we're planning our trip, we're like, you know, we're not sure how my daughter's going to do. Just being like first-time parents, you're always a little bit cautious of the travel, the airplane, the hotel, being out of the routine, all the things, right? So we're like, okay, we'll probably go for 5-6 days. And so that's what we did. We booked our trip for 5-6 days at the Montage in this beautiful grand residence. It was like a 3-bedroom, beautiful place. And when we arrived, there was this like magical element to it. It was just perfect weather. Everything was just luxurious. And we were like, wow, you know, like really had that shock factor first impression. Like, wow, this is just unbelievably cool. So a few days into it, it was like already thinking like, hey, we're about to go home. So I go down to the front desk and I'm like, hey, listen, I want to extend my trip. I talked with my travel concierge. They arranged it for me as well. And they're like, cool, no worries. We can extend it for you guys. So we ended up staying for 2 weeks. And right after I made this commitment to stay like double our original plan, I checked my email and I received my residual income check from my business. And it was a monthly and a quarterly bonus. And when I received it, I was sitting on the patio of our grand residence. The sun was setting. I was drinking a fresh glass of, my amazing water from my company. And it was just, it's really hard to put it into words. It was just this like moment of pure bliss. It was like a perfect moment. And the view was magnificent of Maui, of the palm trees, of the sunset, of the ocean. I can hear my daughter playing and giggling with my wife and my mom, and they're so happy. We're about to get ready to go out for dinner to a beautiful restaurant on the water, like the full shebang. And I check my account and I open these statements and these checks. And, this isn't an income claim. I just want to make that clear. But I received 10 times the amount of money that our trip cost for 2 weeks at the Montage, which is a 5-star resort, 10 times the amount of money. And like, that's a pretty wild moment to have because this happens every month. You know what I mean? So this isn't an unusual occurrence. The quarterly bonus is obviously every 3 months, but the monthly bonus is every month. Every 28 to 30 days, this money lands in my account, whether I work or not. And the thing about this that I want you to really hear me on is that I front loaded the work. And people that are listening to this right now, yourself and others, the problem isn't that you don't work hard. The problem isn't that you're lazy. The problem isn't that you're not capable or not experienced or not talented enough. That's not the problem. The problem is that you don't truly understand what the benefits are of what is required for you to do. There's a disconnect. And it's because you've never had it, you've never experienced it, you've never been there, you've never had the moment, you haven't been in Maui in that situation and like had that 10 times amount of income land in your account. And because you haven't fully vividly imagined what that could be like, you're just not willing to do what is required right now at the moment to go and get there. And if you are doing the work to get there, then that means that you're very clear on the payoff that's coming in the future, because that's what I had to do. And when you have the right business model, that's why I'm the biggest passionate believer in the Diamond Life business model, is that you put in the work up front in full, and you're dedicated, you're committed, you're working with people, you're developing leaders, you're teaching the hard skills, you're putting in the reps, you're practicing, you're showing up, you're putting yourself out there, you're speaking your vision, you're speaking your story, you're wanting to help people, you operate with integrity, with honesty, with loyalty, you're a good fucking human being who wants to help others. When you have that combination and you're genuine, and you're authentic, and you really want to make a difference in other people's lives, and you also combine that with the right business model, then what ends up happening is that by you developing somebody, okay, like here's an example. If you work with somebody and you bring them into your business and you're there for them, you're their accountability partner, you encourage them, you work together, you practice, you role play, whatever is required to make this person become an ambassador, somebody who's going to go out there and make a difference in other people's lives. And you're the one who kind of brings out this greatness in that individual, and they go start making an impact in some other part of the world or in your local community or whatever the case is. And now they're going and changing a life one by one, by one, by one, over and over and over again. And then those people that they brought into this are also going and changing other people's people's lives as well. They're teaching people the power of personal development, of shifting your mindset, of learning new things, right? Becoming the best version of yourself. For a lot of us listening right now, this seems like kind of basic information, like, oh, personal development, everybody knows about that, or personal growth, everybody knows about that. But you know what the reality is? The truth is that like 99% of humans on this planet, they don't do personal development. They don't read the books. They don't listen to audios. They don't try to get better. That's the reality. So if everybody you know around you does care about this, then you're living in this little kind of echo chamber bubble, because that's what happens to me too. I have literally tens of thousands of people all over the world, and we're like-minded people. We think the same way. You know, we have a similar outlook on life. But when I travel, when I meet people in other parts of the world, or I overhear conversations in public, this is not the normal. So anyway, I just remember all the difficulties that I endured in my business, and how I just had this vision of like, one day this is going to pay off. It's going to be worth it. And it's going to be so freaking unbelievable that every single time I receive the money, I'm just oozing with gratitude. I literally have tears in my eyes, and I can't believe it's real. To this day, I never take it for granted. I'm not entitled. I am so grateful. But at the same time, I know that I earned it. I know that I put in the hard work. I know that I've helped enough people in proportion, and it's the residual impact that has led to the residual income. And when you're in this position, you have to tell other people about it. You know, that's how I truly feel. It's like, I have to let people know that this is possible for them as well. Because if I can do this, you've heard my story. If you've listened to the episodes of my podcast, you've listened to sort of the backstory on episode 1 and the origin story and things like that. And if you haven't, go back and listen. But I'm not supposed to be a successful individual by just being given success. I didn't have any handouts. I wasn't like promised anything or any of that. I had to earn it. I had to work for it. I had to want it really, really badly. And so if I can do that, that means you can do it as well. You just have to have enough desire, enough ambition, and be able to work on yourself long enough, hard enough, and consistently enough in order for that to happen. And I was thinking about this on my flight home, and there's this whole concept out there where people that are in business, entrepreneurs, investors, etc., they always kind of talk about to buy assets, right? It's like, take your income and don't work for money, work to acquire assets. And then assets will pay you cash flow, and then take your cash flow and use that on your lifestyle or on your expenses or your liabilities. And so it's like, the example is like having a rental property that pays you $1,000 per month in profit, and then you take that $1,000 per month in profit and you put that towards your car payment or something like that, and then you drive a really nice car, but then the house, the rental property, is continuing to pay that off for you, right? And this is like a really big focus point for a lot of people, which is a really powerful goal to have, and it's something that you should definitely strive towards, is having different types of cash flowing assets that can produce for you. But there's a much bigger goal that's available to people as well. And that's to have this type of business model that is cash flowing at such a big amount of income per month, per quarter, per year, etc., that it allows you to basically buy these assets for cash. So it's like the cash flow grows so highly that you can start buying investment properties cash. You know what I mean? Like, that is a whole nother level. And so when you buy the investment property, or you buy the asset with your cash flow that is also coming from an asset, but it's like an online business with residual income, that's your main asset. Then you take that cash flow, you buy another asset, then you get cash flow from that and put it into another asset. This is like a whole nother level of what's possible when it comes to wealth creation. Because the reason why this is so much more effective, in my opinion, than what most people are trying to do, is that it allows you to live your life now. I'm such a huge believer in that if we are living with too much delayed gratification that we will regret the benefits of the delayed gratification at one point in the future, because we will realize that certain things cannot be delayed. And what I mean by that is, like, our kids, they grow up really quickly, right? The first 3, 4, 5 years of your kid's life are like the most precious moments, where they will never be little kids like that ever again, where you are their world. They're so happy, they're so cute, they're developing themselves and whatever. And it's like that innocence and pureness of a child in that first 5 years is literally the most beautiful time, as a parent. And then, of course, it's beautiful after that as well. It's just a little bit different because they go into like activities or possibly school or different stuff like that. And you become less and less and less of their overall world, even though they always love you forever. So you can't delay that, right? Like, if I had the mindset of, okay, we're not going to travel, we're not going to go to Maui, we're not going to go do cool stuff, we're not going to spend this and spend that because I'm going to delay gratification so I could build my wealth. I could buy these assets that can pay me the cash flow and blah, blah, blah. But I need more time and I need to save this up and I need to work 3 jobs and never be around and so on and so on. Is like, cool. So you end up with a portfolio of assets, maybe real estate, maybe whatever. And then you look back and like your kids are 10 or 12 or 15 or 20. And then you're like, all right, guys, let's go do this because now I have this cash flow from my assets that took me 10, 15 years to build. Let's go have fun. And then your kids are like, whatever, dad, like, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. Like, it's summertime. I'm excited to go to the beach with my friends. Like, see you later. And you're like, yeah, I know, but don't you want to go here and go on this trip and do it? And they're like, nah, not really. So can you delay that? No. What about your energy? What about your youthfulness? What about the zest that you have as a younger person? That's why I think retirement is such a scam, because at age 65, majority of people have health problems. Majority of people don't have a lot of energy. Majority of people can't do action sports or skiing or snowboarding or whatever. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that can, but most people, by the time they get to retirement age, they've had their asses kicked. Their stress so high, their health is so poor. They were living weekend to weekend, paycheck to paycheck for 40 years. And now they're supposed to go and live life. Now they're supposed to go see the world and do cool shit. It's like, really? Who actually buys into that? Who actually thinks like that's a really good idea, right? Because I saw through that a long time ago. I'm like, that's a fucking brutal idea. By the time I'm 65, I want to just be chilling, doing whatever with my grandkids and traveling around the world with them and whatever. Like, not living my life and doing the things I want to do at that age. You know what I'm saying? So the point here that I really wanted to make with you guys today is that I really wish for you to fully wrap your mind around what's possible, to fully wrap your mind around what you're fighting for, and to not get caught up in this thing like that you are focused on an easy life right now, that it's good enough, it's comfortable, it's this and that, whatever, and not fight for what you could truly have, because there's this whole other world out there that is possible for yourself. And I know you can do that. I know you can make it happen. And whether you're already in the same company as myself or not is irrelevant. Maybe you want to get started in your own online business, and I can definitely help you with that. All you got to do is message me on social media with the word freedom, and I can help you get started. Or if you already have the same business as me and I'm in your organization as your mentor, then I offer more mentorship as well, more access, more guidance. I could help you grow your business. I could help you get to the residual income quicker if that's what you're looking for. Then there's also a link that you can book a free strategy call with me and my team where we can explore that as well. So reach out and don't waste time. You know what I mean? Like, don't delay things and say, oh, I could do this later. I could get mentorship from Balazs in a year or two. It's like, no, 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 no. Time is our most valuable asset. Do not play games with it. Do not delay things that you know can help you and serve you right now. It's time to take action right now, you know? And so, yeah, we had the most incredible trip. And I remember dreaming of what it would be like to, earn like residual income. Like, how would life be different? And let me tell you, it is incredibly different. It is like a feeling of you're just so taken care of, you're so supported, and everything that you think about doesn't involve money. And I think that's just such a powerful shift. Is before, I remember when I was working a lot and I didn't have any sort of income coming in, regardless of what I personally did. It was always like, how much does this cost? How much can we budget for that? Can we do this? Like, does this work? Can we go there? Can we stay here? Nah, that's too expensive. Let's go here. It was like this crazy, felt like a money curse. You know what I mean? I felt like I was possessed by the thinking about how money impacts my day-to-day quality of life. I was literally consumed by it so much, and now I'm not. And I had to remind myself for a second, like, majority of people out there, they still are literally consumed by money as if it's like they're possessed by it. Like, they just can't stop thinking about it. And I get it. I totally get it. Because if you feel the lack and scarcity of it, and there's not enough for you to experience life the way you really want to experience it, then of course it's going to be constantly on your mind. That makes a lot of sense. But you are the one who's capable and responsible of changing that situation. And the only way you're willing to actually fight for it and do what's required is if you know what's on the other end waiting for you. And what I'm trying to do is tell you, like, what's waiting for you on the other end is absolutely worth it, to the point like everything changes. Your whole entire life changes. Like, we're literally building a villa right now that's going to be absolutely gorgeous, massive estate villa in Mexico. And we're going to be able to pay for that cash with our residual income. Literally, no mortgage, no payment plans, no nothing, just cash. When we were in Maui, we were going out for dinner. Every single dinner was like $300 to $500 US for the family. We flew business class. We stayed in the grand residence, which was thousands of dollars per night. All these kinds of things. We went to a sunset luau with my daughter. There was only 7 tables. It was super intimate. It was 3 hours, 5-course meals, all you can drink, whatever. And it was literally $1,000 for 3 adults, and the child was free. $1,000 for a sunset luau. Now, back in the day, there wouldn't be a chance in hell that myself or my parents would have ever been okay with spending $1,000 US on a sunset luau. And I still think that's quite a bit of money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not a lot of money, but I'm saying that when you know that that money comes back in month after month after month after month after month, that's a completely different type of income than the thought of, okay, how many hours do I need to work to make $1,000? And then when you're like, wow, I got to work like 40, 50 hours or whatever the number is, then you might go, yeah, nah, I'm not going to enjoy something for 3 hours and then have to work 50 hours to make the money back. See what I'm saying? So the dollar for dollar value is completely different when you have residual income. And then the thing that I wanted to end you with is that freedom is the ultimate currency, because when your whole entire world revolves around what do I want to do? What does my spouse want to do? What does my mom want to do? What does my daughter want to do? And there is no limitations on time, location, or money. That is the ultimate currency. Nothing will ever give you more fulfillment, joy, and happiness than having those 3 types of freedom in your life. I promise you that. Because after that, everything else can fall into place much more easily, right? Like, if you can identify and recognize a problem in your life with how you do things, your schedule, your priorities, your whatever it is, you can just go, cool. Do I have the time to fix it? Do I have the location independence to solve it? Do I have the money to be able to fix it? And if it's yes, 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 then there really is no problem. So all of a sudden, it's like, if you can apply that formula to your life, you will realize that like 9 out of 10 things that you're currently experiencing that's a struggle or a challenge goes away. And so my message to you is, be able to dig the hole to escape the prison cell. You know what I mean? It's going to take time. It's going to feel mundane. It's going to feel tedious to have a little spoon trying to dig a tunnel so that you could escape the prison cell. And you're going to be like, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm going to get busted. I don't know if this is going to work. You're going to have all the self-doubt, all the insecurity. Or is the jail person who works there going to catch you, the security guy, all this kind of stuff. And then one day, it's like months and months, maybe years, you're digging this tunnel and then you make a sprint for it, right? And you get out and you feel the freedom, you feel the joy, you feel the experience. And like in this particular story, you don't get caught. In this story, you don't get caught by the police and put back in jail. In this story, you escape once and you're free forever. Your family is free forever, your children are free forever, and you get to literally imagine a whole new world of possibilities of, if I could move anywhere, live anywhere, travel anywhere for as long as I want, where would I go? What would I do? Who would I spend time with? What are some things I want to learn? What are some things I want to explore? What are some challenges that I want to find a solution for in my life? How can I reimagine all these things that are placed upon us as how it should be when that's not actually how it needs to be? That's your choice, right? There's so many people just playing into this game of life of this is how it should be. And it's like, really? Well, I disagree. I'm willing to bet that there's a better way that it could be, but you first have to escape. You have to literally take the keys and create the tunnel, escape the prison cell. And when you do that, you will realize that freedom is the ultimate currency. And I have a daily reminder of the gratitude in my personal life. And I see all the members in my organization living their dreams and all the cool things that they're doing, which is part of their vision for their family. And it makes me just so happy because that is what I wanted all along. Not only for my family to experience it, but to be able to pay it forward to people like yourself who's listening. And if you're not quite there yet and you're just trying to figure it out and get out of your own way and learn the hard skills and shift your mindset, then I can help you one of two ways. I can either help you with the Diamond Life business model, get started, work together with me directly, and I can mentor you, coach you, support you to leveraging the exact same business model that I've used to create the life of my dreams, my own Diamond Life. Or if you're already in this opportunity with me now, somewhere in my organization or somewhere in the company, then I also offer a mentorship program where I'm just going to show you how to build your business more effectively, build your brand, optimize your life, and actually get you better results. So if that's something that you know you need, then there's going to be a link below on the show notes of this episode. You can click the button and book in a free consultation. It's a 45-minute call. We're going to give you value. We're going to give you a personalized plan to optimize your life and business. And even if you don't get invited into the mentorship, you're going to walk away with an actionable plan that is going to make you get better results than you've been getting before the call. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, for sharing it on social media, tagging me at Balazs W Kardos, tagging our official Diamond Life Mentor podcast account at the Diamond Life Mentor, and sharing your biggest takeaways. It means a lot to me. This podcast is off to a great start here. We're almost at the first 90 days since launch, which is so cool. And we're still just getting started. We actually changed our production team. We're now posting on social media daily with all kinds of different diamond nuggets of value for you guys. And very soon I'm going to be implementing, bringing on more special guests and interviewing people inside my community, but also some of my friends and entrepreneurs and successful people outside of that as well. And I'm really excited for this, second quarter, the next 90 days of this new podcast that I'm so grateful to have. And it's such a fun outlet for me to be able to share sort of my life and what I'm up to and what I'm doing. I got a chance to see some of my community down in Maui for a little meet and greet, which was really cool. We had an incredible time, and I could tell some major shifts happened with the people that were in the room that day. Just seeing my daughter get so excited about the rainbows and the birds and the tiki torches and playing in the pool with grandma and asking me to throw her in the air and catch her and higher and higher. And, just the joy that she experienced, like when she was at the Sunset Luau, she went up there, she was dancing with the girl, the professional luau dancer. She was learning the moves and doing the luau with my mom and my wife, and it was just like this picture perfect moment after moment after moment for 2 weeks. We were literally inside the dream. And then the best part, this is the part where I think a lot of people, when they go on a holiday vacation, they go to a tropical destination or they go to somewhere nice for the weekend or whatever to kind of get away from their regular life, and they come back and it's a little bit of a buzzkill, right? Sometimes the buzzkill is the weather, which happens a lot where I live. Is like you go somewhere really nice and tropical, you come home, it's like half as warm, it's cold, it's raining, stuff like that. So sometimes it's the weather that's a buzzkill. Other times it's your home. It's not as nice. Your bed isn't as comfortable. You don't have blackout blinds, or the food that you eat isn't as good as the food that you ate on holiday, those kinds of things. So you actually notice this like downgrade in your regular normal life versus the vacation that you had. And when we got home, we actually brought the sun and the heat with us, which was really special. So we brought the sun and the heat with us, and it was actually a little bit warmer here than it was in Maui, which is like very unusual. And so we got off the airplane. It was a beautiful morning. It was very hot. We get into our nice car. We're like, man, this is nice. We get home. Our home is just stunning. It's clean. We had our cleaner, clean up while we were out of town. So it was just pristine. Everything was put away perfectly. We get home. There's just this beautiful sunset off the back deck. And I like to call it Sunset Chronicles because it's just every single night is a spectacle. It's a show. And it hit me like, man, my life here is paradise the same way that the montage in Maui was paradise. It's just a different flavor of paradise. It's not a downgrade. It's not any of that. It's just a different experience of the diamond life constantly manifesting into my reality. There is no bad days. There is no bad moments. It's like, yes, life could be hard sometimes. And yes, I'm a human being and I'm navigating some challenges just like anybody else. But there is no like going back to those things. It's like it's consistent across the board. It's a high standard of excellence, of quality across the board. And I want you to experience the same thing. You can, I know you can create it, build it, grow into it, and just continue having like an exponential growth over time that really ends up making you look back one day and being like, that was literally the most epic price that I paid, and I would do it all over again because the payoff is like 1,000 times what the pain is of creating it. And that's the part that most people miss, So in my opinion, if you can understand that however hard it is, however much you want to give up and quit and throw in the towel and say this isn't for me and it's not working out and nobody wants to buy my business or buy my products, or I'm not good at this, I'm not a good leader, whatever's going through your head on those tough days, understand that the positive of you not giving up and making it all the way to the top and making it to this level of financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom is 1,000 times better than the worst day along the journey to get there. And if you can anchor into that feeling, then you won't quit, you won't give up, and I'm sure you'll make it happen. So I believe in you. Get it done. I can't wait to hear the feedback on this episode, and I want you guys to have moments and experiences just like the ones we had in Maui and every day in our diamond life, because I believe this is how everybody should live. Everybody deserves to live this way. You are worthy to live this way too. If you need help, click the link and either send me a DM, Freedom, for you to start your very own high-ticket online business, or click the link for a free 45-minute call so I could be your mentor and coach and help you grow your business and get to the results that you want to create much, much faster. All right, chat soon, my friends. Take care.